Hi everyone, you are listening to Yacht Femme on Yachting International Radio, where we discuss women in yachting. Welcome to Yacht Femme, where we talk about the women that make the yachting industry. I'm your host, Andrea Tagliaferro. Learn who they are, how they got into yachting, and what they do today. Today we talk to Lauren Cotton, the president of Cotton Cruise, a yacht crew placement and housing company. Lauren began her yachting career 14 years ago. She worked as a marketeer at Rybovich, sold charters at a brokerage company, and now is a successful female entrepreneur. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are, where you come from, and just your background?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I was excited to be on your show. So I'm Lauren Cotton, as you said. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. I didn't make it very far as we were based in West Palm Beach. Um, and I own Cotton Cruise and Cotton Management Company, which we do crew staffing and crew housing. So we house over 300 crew in South Florida. And then we do placement based out of South Florida, but obviously all over the world.
Yeah, very cool. I was actually at one of the parties with her at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show last year, when with Worth Avenue Yachts, and people would come out, oh my God, it's you guys. They would be starstruck, and they were just there very casually, like having conversations, and you can see that people were like so flattered that they would show something so nice to them, but that's just how Lauren is. But that just tells you, yeah, she is extremely successful. She provides a lot of benefits for the people that are looking for housing and jobs. She is revolutionizing the industry. Before her, there wasn't really an app. The digital side wasn't as advanced as it is now, and that's actually all thanks to Lauren. So, can you tell us more about your role in your company? What do you actually do in the yachting industry now?
Right. So, I mean, as owner and president of the two companies, which we branded all under Cotton Cruise, it's my responsibility to carry out the vision and execute on like the day-to-day things. I'm very involved in the staffing part of the company. I feel it's really important to get the owners the best crew possible. So most of my time is spent on the staffing side. I do help the housing as far as just running a business, but those day-to-day operations are taken care of by some of my staff.
How do you find the people for you to relocate, or from getting them housing or even getting them on yachts? Do they find you? Do you find them? How does that work?
After 6 years in the industry, we've, I think, built a pretty good brand that a lot of people find us now, which is very nice. We don't have to do too much as far as finding crew. A lot of it's events and Facebook and social media helps us a lot. As far as finding owners, a lot of that is word of mouth, so just really taking care of each client and them telling their friend that owns a yacht that we've built a great book of business. And for housing, in Fort Lauderdale, we rely on some of the schools recommend us. But yachting is so small, a lot of it is just word of mouth, and having a good reputation in the industry can get you pretty far.
How are you evolving your business now?
Right. So we love doing events because we're all about people. So events get us in front of people and get us to build those relationships with people. And that's really key to our business and growing. So doing the yacht shows helps. We've always dreamt about maybe opening an office in south of France or Newport in the summer because everyone in my office loves traveling. So we're always looking for an excuse to go somewhere fun. But we never want to grow too big and lose touch with the owner and having those relationships with people. And that's kind of what the housing provides us. It allows us to get to know people on a different level. And then when it comes to them needing a job or being able to place them, we can actually vouch for someone and say, hey, here's someone we know, and versus just having a CV. So we love getting to go ahead.
No, that sounds very smart. You definitely get to know the person, so you can definitely continue this word of mouth and this close-knit family. it's so hard when social media, at least I've seen, it's great. It gets you so far, but nothing from being face to face with a person more than once to actually vouch for them.
Right.
What came first, or was it always your intention to have housing and crew placement?
So I started with placement, and knowing a lot of the crew there in West Palm Beach were saying, we don't have any safe, clean housing. There's very limited options around Rybovich at the time. And so I thought, oh, I could do safe, clean housing. It's not rocket science. So,
what does that mean? Safe, clean housing?
Like just the crew were complaining they were living in houses that were like full of cockroaches. They had been broken into. So literally just a safe and a clean house. I'm like, oh, this is easy. So I got my brother.
The basics then.
Yeah, some real basics. Got my brother, and we bought our first crew house. It was packed, and then we just started buying more. So now we've got just over 20 houses in the neighborhood around Rybovich that we own or manage. And then when they're in my house, when people call for day work and short-term work, it's easy to just, send someone from one of the houses over to work. So it became a good model. And then when we send the crew member to work, we get to see like how they did on the job, so to speak, and get some feedback on them before we'd put them to a permanent job. Wow, so it allows us even more feedback on a crew member before we'd put them forward.
Wow, that is great. Does everybody know that story? Because it seems like when you compare yourself to the other crew placement agencies, it's hard to be, I don't know, a company that really gets to know the people that they are vouching for.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess we always like, doing things like this gets our story out there, and the people that know us know the story, and that's just where word of mouth and growing organically helps us. And all the crew that have stayed with us are always telling their friends, so that side of the business is always growing as well. And they know if they're in the cotton crew house, they get a job quick, or they get day work really quickly. So everyone wants to be in our houses, which is a great advantage.
Yeah, that sounds pretty great. I mentioned in the other episodes that I actually worked as crew, very so small that you can't really call it a career in yachting. But I still remember how I got the first job was a friend of mine tells me, Andrea, they need someone who's bilingual. And I'm like, okay, great. Where did you see this? And she sends me to this website that looks like a digital bulletin board. And this is how everybody gets a job, Jess. And I'm like, how is there not something more sophisticated than this bulletin board? And
right.
I didn't understand how someone hadn't jumped in to fix it. And when you guys developed the app, I was like, finally someone's doing it. Everything seemed so traditional for your audience was always moving. They were always young. They're the only thing. When you live on a yacht, you have very few belongings that you can have, very few possessions you can take. So when you get on board, it's very surprising. Everybody has a Mac. Everybody has the latest phone. The only thing they have is the best bandwidth and the best electronics. So I thought, this is a generation that it's like dying for an app. Where is it? And the moment they get on a boat, off a boat, sometimes it can be, you can foresee it, and sometimes it's so sudden that the moment they land on a dock, they really have to move fast to actually get into another yacht, because that yacht also represents another job, their house. What's the process for you guys getting them a position?
So anyone that reaches out to us, we'd ask them to first sign up on our app so we can get all their information, and then we send another email asking for some specifics, written references, if they can pass a background check. There's like 6 bullet points we ask them, and see if they meet some of the criteria, and we go over the written references. We reach out to their references as well. And so once we kind of give them like the all clear green check mark, we would start figuring out, based on what they're looking for and what some of our open positions are, pairing them up and finding because it's just the best when you have a boat that's so happy with a crew member and the crew member that's so happy with their job. So we really try and hit the mark every time.
That's great. Well, I can't say more. I was actually there when she was getting all the glory at a boat, so I saw this firsthand. I read you have been in the industry for 14 years, right?
Yes.
What have you seen changing since then?
I mean, I think growing up here in South Florida and still being based here, the yachting industry is growing. I think I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure it surpasses tourism in Fort Lauderdale, as far as revenue generated. So as the yachting industry grows, it's moving, more up north, which West Palm Beach is growing. And that's where I started my yachting career at Rybovich. And even in the last 14 years, just the area and businesses that have opened to support shipyards in the yachting community has grown. And now we even see them developing up in Fort Pierce, which is an hour north of West Palm. So,
Wow,
it's so many boats come through South Florida. It's just unbelievable. And Fort Lauderdale almost can't handle it anymore. So now developers and marinas and everything are moving north because there's just more land and there's different haul out capabilities and things like that. So
wow,
it's interesting times. Yeah.
very interesting. Very good for you guys. Expansion,
Yes.
right? Can you pinpoint, well, as successful as you are, maybe this is a little bit hard, but what would be like the proudest moment in yachting you've had?
I think, I look back, sometimes I can't believe it's been 6 years, and
I know,
people
right?
have always told me, like, I've known people to go and try and start companies and it hasn't worked. So I think being a female in the yachting industry, which is still male dominated, to be a female owning a thriving business and still here and still thriving, every day is a success for me.
I actually remember when I heard about you, I was part of this organization, Young Professionals in Yachting, YPY, and we had partnered up with you guys at the West Palm Beach show, naturally.
Yes.
And then I learned it's a female woman that's running, and I was like, what? No, I was so excited. I was like, I have to meet her.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, if you've been in yachting, and it is very male dominated. So to just be a female and be thriving in this industry, I think is a success every day.
Was anyone ever surprised that you were actually behind a successful brand? You, a female, and actually a beautiful female. So they would see you.
Before we put now on our email signature, it has our photos, which I think is great for marketing and branding because we're more recognizable. The girls that work for me, being out in the community and, whoever we work with, if we're in Rybovich, I think, knowing a face, people feel more comfortable to come up and chat. But before I had that on my email, when I would go to meet owners or captains, some people were slightly startled.
I can imagine, and I'll put some picture here for you guys as the audience. That the girls that work in her company, they're so pretty. I actually, when I saw them, I assumed they were in fashion. I was like, these three just look like models. You have the blonde, the brunette, the black hair, the three sizes. It was just like she represents all of them, and they're all so pretty. I never really, and I was one of them. I just couldn't imagine that these girls were the ones killing it. And it is actually true. You've been in the yachting industry, we said again, for 14 years. If you could go back to that first day in yachting and give yourself advice, what would it be?
Hang on, it's a wild ride.
What do you mean?
It's just so fun. I started at Rybovich doing marketing my senior year at Palm Beach Atlantic University 14 years ago. I just never dreamed I'd be where I am today. I don't think 14 years ago I knew what crew placement was. I didn't know everything I know now about the industry. And it's just so exciting that once you're in the industry, you can do different things and go different ways. It's just amazing. So I went from Rybovich working in the shipyard, which gave me a great, I was able to build some good knowledge on yachts and learned about refits and paint and 0-speed stabilizers and all kinds of fun things. And then I went to brokerage and sold charter and did marketing and events for Worth Avenue Yachts. And then I started my company over 6 years ago. So.
Oh, good. Now I understand.
Yes. So.
Well, it definitely shows that you actually have not a general, but actually a deep understanding of different facets of the industry. It's very different when someone that studied marketing, was not in yachting, and just sees, I don't know, I could do this entrepreneurship and just heads there. They don't understand how everything moves. They don't, and also you don't find the respect you would gain if no, I really was at the shipyard. I did see this. I actually know your vocabulary. It gets you so much further than people would ever imagine just being around more of the technical side of yachting.
Right. And I think that can surprise people as well on the phone with the owner or captain if they're talking about, a shipyard period or this or that. And I have some knowledge of some things. I always catch people by surprise.
That'd be so fun. Did you have a one-liner? I would so have one. I would just throw one word out there. I was like, yes, I know what that means.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for sharing. I want for you to tell the audience, how can we actually find you? Where are you? What platforms?
So we are on Instagram as Cotton Cruise. We're on Facebook as Cotton Cruise. I think we have some YouTube videos out there as Cotton Cruise. Am I missing anything? My email, lauren@cottoncruise.com. And our office is in West Palm.
Well, that's great.
Did I get it all? Yeah.
Well, you will find all the links, how to reach Lauren, how to reach her company. We, like I said before, she was also featured on Yacht Femme on my website and on my Instagram account. And on the website, which I'll add the link to it, you will find on her profile, her LinkedIn, her Instagram, her company page, her website, and everything else you need to redirect yourself. So we'll give you plenty of options to find Lauren again.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and taking time from feeding the dogs, returning emails, and so on. I hope to see you at West Palm soon.
Yes.
Do some fun things together there.
For sure. Thanks so much, Andrea, for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to the Yacht Femme. If you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, and comment. Your comment will help us reach a broader audience. And don't miss the next episode.